Hi, I'm Sally Cavers. I'm Head of Inclusion at Children in Scotland, and I'm going to give you some information about the Early Learning and Childcare Inclusion Fund, if you're thinking about applying. The fund was set up to provide funding to early learning and childcare settings to support children with additional support needs in Scotland to access their funded entitlement. We talk about settings, and this includes childminders. The fund was set up in 2018 with a total of £2 million to be awarded over 4 years. Children in Scotland is the fund administrator. The fund is for training, resources, equipment and adaptations. In terms of its aims, these are to make sure that early learning and childcare settings are more accessible for children with additional support needs, which includes disabilities. It's to make sure that these settings can support children with additional support needs to access their funded early learning and childcare entitlement. And it's to increase the number of early learning and childcare staff who are trained to support children with additional support needs. It aims to promote inclusive learning experiences for children and to contribute to better outcomes for children with additional support needs. It's hoped that the fund will improve inclusive practice within the early learning and childcare sector. I'm going to talk a little bit about who can apply. You can apply if you're a registered funded provider of early learning and childcare in Scotland, or if you're currently working with your local authority to become a funded provider. You need to have a bank account that's used for your setting, and you'll need to confirm that you currently have or will have in the next 2 terms or 6 months at least one child in your care with additional support needs. You can apply for up to £1,500. And this needs to be spent within 6 months of receiving any funds. The money must be for training for staff on relevant courses or professional learning costs, to buy specialist equipment or resources, or for a specific one-off adaptation to the physical environment. When you apply, you'll be asked to confirm in your application form that you have discussed what you are proposing with your local authority and that costs cannot be met by that local authority. This is to make sure that you're not applying for something that there is a statutory requirement to provide. You'll also be asked that you cannot source what you're applying for from somewhere else, such as a local authority equipment bank or from Call Scotland. Whatever funding you request should not include any recurring costs. In your application, you'll be asked to explain how the funding will help to reduce any barriers to the child or children with additional support needs in accessing early learning and childcare. These barriers might include any additional support needs created or increased by the COVID pandemic. You'll also be asked to explain how the benefits of what you're applying for will be sustained. For example, how will it help children with additional support needs in your setting in the longer term? It's really important that you have spoken to or engaged with parents or carers and any relevant healthcare professionals in the planning of your application. This is to make sure it does meet the needs of the child or children with additional support needs. You'll also be asked to confirm that the funding requested will be used to purchase goods or services from a reputable source and that you can demonstrate value for money. You can apply to this fund more than once. So you can apply if you have applied and been successful or unsuccessful in a previous round. You can also apply for different things in the same round. You just need to state how the applications are different. There are 2 examples of mock applications on the website, on the Early Learning and Childcare Inclusion Fund page. One example is for training and the other is for resources. We hope this gives you a good idea of the type of thing assessors will be looking for. Assessors will make their recommendations based on the answers you have provided to certain questions, so please do follow the guidance accompanying the application form. The closing date for each funding round is on the Early Learning and Childcare Inclusion Fund webpage. We try our very best to let settings know as soon as we can after the closing date, but it will be a number of weeks. You will be emailed the decision. This is a popular fund, so please do follow the guidance to maximise your chance of success, and please don't hesitate to get in touch.